Unsung Murder Ballads discusses topics of a disturbing nature.
And we're not going to hold back on the graphic details and disturbing content.
So we do not recommend our podcast for children under the age of 13.
And while we respect the victims and their families involved in these tragic cases,
we're also going to be critical of mistakes that are made during the investigations.
And we're going to use dark humor to express ourselves now and then.
So with that said, this podcast may not be for everyone.
And that's okay. We're glad you're here checking us out.
And if you've made it this far, welcome to the Unsung Murder Ballads family. And follow us on Instagram at Unsung Murder Ballads if you want to talk to us.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Unsung Murder Ballads. This is episode 94. I am Janus Dead.
I'm Jameson Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
All right, so tonight we have a fun, quote-unquote fun episode from England, so that's fun.
Quote-unquote
Nice.
Fun.
Yeah.
Very interested to see what that means today.
Well, you know how Jameson seems to have this undying hatred for all things police?
Yes. Yes, I do.
So tonight is a guy, well, you know what? I'm not even going to say anything more. We're going to dive into the teaser.
Oh, come on. No, you
We're
can't
gonna
do
dive
that to
into
me.
the teaser.
No spoilers.
The
No.
teaser will tell you everything you need to know about how this is going to go.
God.
All right, let's go.
I'm scared.
So it's July 4th, 2010 in England. At 12:45 a.m., police constable David Rathban stopped his police vehicle on the roundabout, or rotary, that connected the A1 to the A69 traffic routes. David paid no attention to a black Lexus that passed him, but the driver had certainly noticed him. The driver of this Lexus had, a short time before seeing David sitting there, contacted police declaring war on them.
On the police?
On the police.
What?
He told them that he would kill every officer he saw, and unfortunately David was unaware of this, as the police did not make this information widely known.
Strike
Well,
one.
they should have at least let their own
Strike
know.
one.
Right? So the man parked the car and took a shotgun with him as he approached David's squad car. He walked up to him, made eye contact through the window, and then shot David in the face through the glass.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
This is the case of Raoul Moat, whose hatred of police led him to one of the craziest rampages in England's history.
Whoa, I've never heard of this. This seems like this would be something wicked high profile.
I'm surprised it wasn't more wide known, because it's not that old either. We're looking at like maybe 14, 15 years ago. It's not that long ago. So it should have been everywhere, and it was in England, but I don't remember this happening at the time.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So Raoul Thomas Moat was born on June 17th, 1973. His father left after he was born. His mother reportedly had bipolar disorder, and he and his half-brother Angus were mostly brought up by their grandmother, as their mother spent time in and out of mental hospitals.
British people are so funny. Why are you naming your kid Angus like he's beef?
That's funny. And the last name Moat is it's like you change the O to an E and it's meat. So it's kind of funny. Angus meat. Yeah. It's really weird. So Moat and his brother were inseparable when they were children, and Moat himself was described as kind and outgoing. In their 20s, the brothers drifted apart, and Moat began working on his body and spending time with others that shared this interest. As a result of his bodybuilding, Moat was said to be 6 feet 3 inches tall, or 190 centimeters, and approximately 270 pounds, or 222 kilos.
That's a pretty big man.
That's a big dude, and he was prone to eruptions of anger.
Was he on the roids?
Well, yes, we'll get to it in a little bit, but yes,
yeah,
he was.
fair assumption.
His mother has stated that she did not like the change that happened to her son at the age of 19 when he was no longer the gentle boy she had raised.
Yeah, the roids will fuck you right up.
Yes, they will. She said he was replaced by a snarling man that hated everything and everyone.
And I feel like I have to insert my shit here, which is how I feel like it's not talked about enough that, like, that's like a form of eating disorder.
Yes, I agree with you.
Maybe we don't talk about it because it's men and we don't talk about men's mental health enough, but or generally it's men who are taking these, but it's really sad because it really fucks people up.
Yeah, I've never done them, and I'm glad I've never done them, but I can't imagine. Like, I had anger issues on my own without that, so I can't imagine what that would feel like. That kind of whatever it is, that nagging, just that buildup of testosterone. I'm not even sure what that would feel like. That's crazy to me. And you're right.
Crazy.
It's a disorder. Using it becomes a disorder, becomes like an addiction. And you're 100% right in that men in general, we're not given that opportunity very often to speak about things without somehow negatively impacting our lives. That's the biggest problem. So with that said, for work, Moat was a panel beater, a bouncer, and a tree surgeon. Obviously, I had to look these things up, a couple of them anyway. A panel beater is a person that repairs exterior sections of vehicles that have been damaged in accidents.
Okay, got you.
I had never heard that term before.
Me neither. It also feels like that would be just like one part of a mechanic's job, but I guess a dude specializes in it.
Well, a mechanic typically works on the actual engine, like the moving parts. He doesn't do the cosmetic part normally. So I guess that makes sense, but I've just never heard the term panel beater. And a tree surgeon essentially assesses the health of trees and removes them if necessary. That was another one I thought was a weird term, but they're basically...
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but it makes sense.
Yeah, they're not actually doing surgery. They're basically just looking and saying, okay, this one needs to go.
Yeah, surgery is removal of the whole tree.
Right, yeah.
Getting my treectomy.
So interestingly, it was his job as a bouncer that brought him the most grief. According to reports, Moat was harassed weekly by police while working this job.
Interesting. You would think they'd be on the same side.
So my guess is this dude must have just sucked as a bouncer. He must have constantly been maybe pushing people around, denying them access to things, something like that.
Like causing the starts of fights and stuff that the police would have to get called on, maybe.
That's what I'm thinking. So it's a little strange, but at the same time, it makes sense in a way. After leaving the bouncing job and starting his tree surgeon business, Moat still had run-ins with the police. By the time he was 36 years old, Moat had been arrested 12 times on 7 separate charges, but only once for physical assault.
Oh, what were the rest?
They don't go into too much detail, but we do know that in his youth, he was arrested for arson and animal cruelty.
Oh, yikeroonies.
Which, of course, is 2 of the 3 points on the McDonald triad for potential serial killers. So one incident in 2005, he was charged with a crime after police found brass knuckles and a samurai sword in his car.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, bro. There's no good reason to be carrying that.
Yeah, a fucking samurai sword, really? I mean, I guess if you just bought it to hang on your wall as a decoration, it's not too weird, but what the fuck are you doing with a samurai sword?
For real.
And the interesting thing is brass knuckles are illegal here in the U.S., so I'm sure they're not legal in Britain either. Because you can't run around with
It's so funny
those.
that that of all things is illegal.
Well, it's because, like, it's not... I mean, it's a weapon, but it's kind of brutal. It's not like a knife, but it's still like you're seriously gonna fuck someone up with those things.
Well, I mean, the same with guns. What?
Yeah, but you have to be to legally carry a gun. You have to be licensed. So.
Not in all states, right?
No, you still have to. Well, you know what? I won't say that out loud. Maybe you don't have to have a license because I don't know all the 50 state rules, but for the most part, you still have to. You have to go through a process to get a gun. There's legal means,
Just kind of wild.
I agree. It's weird. So as a result of all his arrests, Moat grew a deep hatred for police and became paranoid that they were out to get him. And the steroids...
Paranoia goes along with the roids, for
I was
sure.
going to say, yep, and they don't mix well. So over the years, Moat would be in and out of relationships, many of them ending as a result of violence or his own inflated ego making women not want to be around him.
Makes sense.
By 2010, Moat had 2 children already and was living with a woman named Samantha Stobart, who was 22, and their 4-year-old daughter.
Ew. Gross.
the two had been set up by friends when she was still a teenager.
Yeah, my 4-year-old, I was like, that's why I said ew. Not to the
Yeah.
4-year-old. I like children. That wasn't clear. I was like, oh, that math is not mathing in a way that I would like it to math.
No, you're definitely right, because we'll get into that in a little bit, but yeah, it's a creepy age difference. As we've seen too many times, Moat had been kind in the beginning, and once they had a child, his behavior changed. Moat became possessive, unkind, outright nasty, and of course at times violent. He became a narcissistic bully towards Samantha, and she was too afraid to leave him, as he often threatened violence if she tried.
Mm-hmm.
So keep in mind, this guy is almost twice her size, and he is almost twice her age.
Ugh, gross.
Yeah, in fact, this scumbag had hoped to start dating her when she was only 15 and he was 30.
No.
Ew, what a disgusting man.
Yeah, he had been working on getting her for years before he did, and she was still super young. Fucking scumbag.
Gross.
Understand that many abusers like Moat, he did try to improve his behavior from time to time, and even talked about seeking therapy to help. However, at the same time that he's making these claims, he started installing cameras throughout his property to help him against the police, which is bizarre.
Right, he's just starting to have paranoid tendencies.
So, and he stated in calls with police that the cameras were there to show where he was at any given point, to prove that he wasn't doing what police might accuse him of doing.
Oh dear, yeah, he's very paranoid.
And of course, he used everything at his disposal to control Samantha, but the most effective thing was her financial dependence on him after they had a child together.
One of the scarier parts of having a child.
Now, Samantha's best chance to leave him came in 2010, when Moat lost control and physically assaulted one of his other children.
Ugh.
To put a finer point on this, he hit a 9-year-old in the face.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was arrested and charged with assaulting a child. And
His own fucking child.
Yep. And he was sentenced to 18 weeks in prison.
What?
The fuck is that?
Yeah. So a 6'3" man weighing 270 pounds hits a 9-year-old in the face, and he gets 4.5 months in jail.
As if that solves any of the problems. Like, I'm not even, like, at this point, I'm like, why are we even using jail time? He needs to be in an intensive therapy, like, in a mental hospital to, like, resolve the anger issues that are making you punch a 9-year-old.
Exactly. I don't know what... I mean, it's England, but I don't think the U.S. would have done any better.
No, it wouldn't have, because we don't do rehabilitative justice.
Exactly.
Not until somebody dies.
And even then, half the time they don't.
Yeah.
So as you can imagine, Moat's hatred for the police only grew to new levels now that he was incarcerated. All he thought about was his bruised ego and his damaged reputation, which he blamed police for taking from him. And
God, it's your fault, dude. Don't fucking punch your kid.
And Samantha, of course, was always on his mind. However, with her abuser gone and life continuing without him, Samantha also began moving on. Samantha met a charming man that had recently moved nearby, whose name was Chris Brown. And no, not the pop singer. It'd be a really
Not
weird...
the other domestic abuser.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really funny. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, that was my first thought. I was like, wow, 2 domestic abusers, like, right off the bat.
Would have been funny, but no. This is actually a good dude.
Oh, okay.
So Chris had opened a martial arts gym in the area and was going around trying to drum up business when he met Samantha. In contrast to Moat, Chris was kind and funny, and he didn't care that she was already a mother even though she was so young. As things became serious between Samantha and Chris, she knew she was going to have the incredibly difficult task of telling Moat about her new relationship and breaking things off with him.
Oh, that's terrifying.
So
There's like very little safe way for her to do that.
There's nothing she can do. I mean, the good news is she doesn't have to deal with his like physical reaction in that moment. But
oh, right, because she's going to tell him while he's in prison.
Correct. But there's no way to soften that blow at all.
No. And thank God her like new guy is a martial artist.
Well, just wait, because this is about we're about to hit the moment of the quote unquote twist and the what were you thinking moment.
Oh
Oh
dear.
God.
So obviously this news wasn't taken well by Moat, and he was furious. And as you can imagine, sitting in a cell with nothing else to do, he just became angrier and angrier.
Oh, he's ruminating in it.
Moat promised that he would get his revenge, and Samantha made an interesting and somewhat idiotic decision in this moment.
Oh dear.
Trying to intimidate Moat, she lied to him and told her that her new boyfriend was a police officer.
Oh Christ.
Hmm.
Exactly. Now, take a moment and imagine what would go through the mind of someone convinced the police were out to get him, and then hearing that, quote unquote, his woman was now dating a cop.
Yeah, that's
That's not
not
gonna end
gonna
well.
go well.
No, it's not. Prison guards in the prison were warned by Moat's cellmate that he was planning on doing serious harm to Samantha and her new boyfriend. And as in the case so many times, no one bothered to look into this.
Of course.
Why would they?
So as fate allowed, Moat was released from Durham prison on July 1st, 2010.
What kind of happy horse shit is getting this asshole out?
He reached the end of his 18 weeks.
Oh,
Right, that's all his sentence was.
Yeah, you can't keep him there unless he commits another crime.
I forgot it was that short.
Yeah. Once he had his cell phone back in his possession, Moat wasted no time terrorizing Samantha, calling her dozens of times, but she was too afraid to even answer the phone.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Well, I
Moat-
mean, who's going to be happy a bit to answer the phone? I mean, like, hey, it's my murderous ex-boyfriend.
You know, it's tough to say what could have been circumvented if she had just had a conversation with him early on.
Right, because she also doesn't know.
But she's young and scared,
Yeah,
you know?
our scared brains make a lot different decisions than our non-scared brains.
Exactly. So Moat posted a red flag-laden tirade on Facebook where he talked about how he lost everything, and to top it all off, his own lass of 6 years had gone off with the copper that had sent him down. Yeah.
Oh dear.
It ended with, quote, "I'm not 21 and can't rebuild my life. Watch and see what happens," unquote.
Yikes, bro. That doesn't look good.
But even after that post, no one took any action. So in the early morning hours of July 3rd, 2010, Samantha and Chris were visiting her mother, and according to Moat, he crouched under an open window of the living room for an hour and a half and listened to them supposedly mocking him.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they were.
Well, I have a feeling they were probably just discussing what to do about him.
Right, like how to stay safe, but he's hearing what he is hearing.
Exactly. He's hearing things from his own twisted point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So at 2:40 a.m., Chris was getting ready to leave. And I have to say, I think that's really late, but whatever. Not my life.
Yeah.
Now, Samantha's daughter was asleep, but her mother was willing to babysit, and it was agreed that Samantha would go home with Chris. However, when they opened the door, Moat was standing there holding a sawed-off shotgun.
Oh,
Moat shot Chris at point-blank range 3 times, the third one being fatal. Yeah,
oh
It
my
took
God.
the third, not the first.
shot him 3 times. I'm assuming the first 2 were in the torso, and the third one must have been in the head.
My God.
Oh.
The fact that you survive any kind of gunshot at point blank range like that.
From a
Well, he
sawed
might
off.
not have survived them, but
Well, he probably wouldn't have anyway. You're right. Now, Samantha ran back inside for cover, but when she looked out the window, Moat fired through the living room window while Samantha's mother was on the phone with police. Samantha was hit in the arm and the abdomen and was taken to the hospital to undergo surgery and then put under armed guard. So she survives. Moat disappeared into the night, and police released to the public that Raoul Moat was at large, armed, and dangerous. Now, however, he had already changed his clothes and the vehicle he was in. So the reports of him being out there were going to be inaccurate because they're looking for someone that's dressed differently and driving the wrong car.
Yeah.
And even though sightings of him came in, police really had no idea where he was, and most of those sightings weren't accurate.
Right. Sometimes people are just like looking for the closest guy.
Right. Sometimes you just report shit because you think it'll be helpful, and it's wasted time.
Mm-hmm.
So Moat called the police that day and told them he shot the couple because his girlfriend was having an affair with one of their officers. He blamed the police for all his problems and repeatedly said, "You just won't let up." He goes on in this call, refusing to accept any responsibility for his actions, blaming the police for everything. He states at one point in the call that Chris deserved to be shot, but Samantha did not. Because in his mind, he believes she's being manipulated by the police.
Right.
Right.
It could never.
Yeah, she could never betray him, right?
Right. No. Why would she ever betray him? He's perfect.
I mean, he's so great. He goes to jail for punching a 9-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, that's my dream, man. I don't know about you.
Right? I mean, if I saw a big grown man punch a 9-year-old, I might go for him. Jesus. That sounds so weird.
What a soundbite.
Right? This is where I'm finally going to get sued or canceled or something.
I was wondering how long it was going to take for both of you to keep a straight face. Like,
Through anything, truly, it took forever.
Right? So he says that the shot he took at Samantha was only meant to cause a minor injury, that he did not mean to put her in the critical condition in the hospital that she found herself in.
Wow, that's so meaningful, dude.
Yeah, just, I love you so much. I just want to give you a casual shotgun wound,
Yeah, just a little one.
Just a flesh wound.
Just... Wow, thematic.
Right? So he then says that he's not coming in alive, and if the police come near him, he will kill them. He said, quote, "I'm coming to get you. You made me unwell. Yous made me do this. I am hunting for officers now," unquote.
Terrifying. And I'm sure the police are kind of confused because they're like, no officer got killed. This was just some guy.
Can you imagine the people sitting in that office and they're going, "What is he talking about? That dude's like a karate guy,"
Literally.
So at 12:45 on the 4th of July, Police Constable David Rathband stopped his police vehicle at the roundabout and was shot by Moat through the driver's side window.
Oh.
David played dead, allowed Moat to leave, and then notified his fellow officers.
Wait, he survived a point-blank shot in the head?
He survived a point-blank shot to the face. Yeah.
wow.
Like, fully survived? Like, he did not die?
He did not die.
That's
Wow.
insane.
David was taken to Newcastle General Hospital in critical condition with injuries to his head and upper body. He survived the shooting but was left blind.
Wow.
Yeah.
Power to modern medicine, for real.
Crazy. Moat's attack on David changed how police saw the case. I mean, obviously, at this point now, they're taking him seriously.
Right, if a normal guy dies, well,
Right.
I don't know about that. But if a cop dies, well, then
That's
this
one
is
of
serious
ours.
business.
Exactly. So his case basically went from being seen as a jealous homicide to an active shooter targeting police. Moat called the police again 50 minutes after shooting David, during which time he showed little remorse and complained the police were not taking him seriously enough.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Police responded by saying they were taking him seriously and trying to tell him that Chris Brown had no connection to the police. They urged him to hand himself in for the sake of his 3 children. Moat said that he was never going to stop and they would have to kill him.
Oh, jeez.
It is fucking crazy.
This guy is bad shit.
So the manhunt that ensued became one of the largest in the UK.
Wow.
A total of 160 armed officers were deployed to find Moat, which represented approximately 10% of all available police officers in England and Wales at the time.
Wait, what the hell?
Yeah, literally they had 10% of their entire police force just looking for him.
Does that feel like a really small well, it's not
Yeah,
the US. So
I was
it's like
thinking to
not
myself, that's a really, really small amount of people.
But England is smaller than like
England is small.
it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
you
yeah.
could probably
And also there a lot of other countries are not militarized police like ours is.
Exactly. I was going to say I think you could probably fit England inside of Georgia. So
True.
So, along with the 100 specially trained armed response officers from Northumbria, they were reinforced by an additional 60 officers from London and the surrounding regions. On the second day of Moat's spree, police received word that he may have taken 2 hostages and they may have made their way to a town called Rothbury. Police found small indications that Moat had been there, but little else. They were everywhere looking for him with helicopters flying overhead.
Damn.
Can you imagine not finding this guy for like 2 days?
That'd be awful.
Terrifying. I mean, it's terrifying. And also, like, I don't know, even with a helicopter, how do you find one man? I don't know. That sounds hard.
Yes, it sounds very hard. I can't imagine what that would look like. But keep in mind, remember the Boston Marathon bombing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boston didn't fuck around. They shut everything down.
Yeah.
So I can imagine what England was going through in this moment.
Yes. Terrifying for everyone.
So on July 5th, fearful of more shootings by Moat, police mounted a raid with armed officers, dogs, and a helicopter on a home in North Kenton and also detained a man from the area of Sunderland. Which is crazy because that didn't amount to anything. He wasn't there or they got the wrong guy. It wasn't Moat.
Ugh.
On July 7th, at least 10 armored anti-terrorist vehicles from the police service of Northern Ireland were transported by ferry and provided to the Northumbria police for this operation.
Damn.
The Ministry of Defense confirmed a Royal Air Force Tornado GR-4, which is like a helicopter with like extra sensors and things like that, which had been fitted with a Raptor reconnaissance pod that was deployed to do nighttime sweeps with infrared cameras around the Rothbury area.
Can you imagine if this much effort was put into stopping other serial killers?
Right? Yeah, this guy's only getting all this attention because he shot a cop.
Yeah, and the insanity to me of like the Northern Irish like police helping,
Right? It's nuts.
that is crazy.
However, none of this led to Moat's capture. Police set up a 2-mile exclusion zone, sweeping the areas within that zone for Moat, but Moat had actually already left the zone that they put up a perimeter for. He was living in a tent in the woods.
Of course he was.
Now,
It doesn't even sound like he's trying to kill cops at this point, so.
at this point, he's been hiding. So police learned at this point that his 2 hostages were actually accomplices.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Their names were Carl Ness, who was 26, and Karam Awan, 23. While Moat was in prison, Ness was spying on Samantha and sending information to Moat.
And didn't even notice that her boyfriend was not a cop.
No, my guess would be if Moat asked him, he would just say like, well, I never saw him in a uniform, you know? But this guy, Ness, also was the one who gave Moat the shotgun.
Oh, fucker.
Right? After Moat killed Chris Brown, Awan helped Moat escape the area, and both men waited in the car for him when Moat shot David in his police car.
Those are some serious accomplices.
Yeah, they're not. They're obviously they don't give a fuck either. They're thinking they're just going for a joyride, my guess, and they're just enjoying this little escapade or adventure or whatever the fuck they thought it was.
Yeah.
Now,
Not fucked.
Right? Awan wrote a letter to his sister where he confessed his crimes but asked her to burn the letter. And his sister did the exact opposite and contacted police like she should.
Yep, we love to see someone doing the correct thing.
In the letter, he told his sister that it was his friend that was quote-unquote holding him hostage and that he was safe. So on July 7th, police captured Ness and Awan as they were walking down the road.
Oh, wow.
The entire exchange was caught on a helicopter video and shows the entire thing. It happened so fast that the two men had zero time to react as they were gassed, stunned, and arrested.
Damn.
That's awesome.
I'm not
Precision
kidding.
accuracy.
Right? And I'm not kidding. It took like 5 seconds. There's a video you can watch on YouTube. It happened so fast. You were just like, holy fuck.
Kind of crazy they identified them that fast.
I have no idea how they identified them, but they fucked them up. It was great.
Damn.
Not gonna lie. So soon after, police located Moat's campsite and found a cell phone and an 8-page letter that he had written to Samantha. On the phone, they found that Moat had been watching the news about the manhunt and was growing more and more angry at the quote-unquote lies being spread about him. Police claimed that there was a voice recording where Moat claimed he would kill an innocent person for every new lie the media said about him.
Oh, Lord.
Wow, that's intense.
The police were now fearful for the public safety even more, so they requested a media blackout, and the news actually stopped reporting about the case.
Wow.
That would not happen here.
No.
No way. I don't even know if they have the power to make the news stop.
They don't have the power to make them, but they could.
Oh, and then they certainly wouldn't voluntarily.
Exactly. Not if it's something this, like, juicy, you know?
Yeah, no. They're making too much money off it.
So the Northumbria police offered a £10,000 reward, roughly $13,000, for any information that would lead to Moat's arrest. Still, days went by with no sign of Moat, and he could have literally gone anywhere. Residents of Rothbury reported that food was disappearing from their gardens, their trash bins had been rummaged through, and one person even claimed his bed had been slept in.
What the heck?
Right? Fucking weird.
Imagine calling police and saying, my bed has been slept in. Like, yeah, I'm sure it fucking has. It's a bed, dude.
Yeah, thanks, Goldilocks.
Yeah, for real.
Thinking the same damn thing.
So people began keeping their children home from school and stayed away from their windows, which
That's
is
reasonable.
yeah, but still crazy. Can you imagine trying to live your
Yeah.
life like that? Now, on a side note, and it's an important one, the town of Rothbury was prone to flooding, and the town built a network of storm drains to mitigate that problem.
Oh no, he's living in the drains.
Yeah, it never occurred to them that an armed, wanted individual might use those drains to avoid detection.
Of course it didn't occur to them.
Nope. I mean, who really would you think about that? Like when you're trying to design a way to keep your town from flooding, like you're not going to
Oh, I
think.
sure wouldn't be thinking about it then. I thought you meant like at this point, like they're trying to look for him and they're not thinking about the sewers.
Well, they weren't doing that either. But I mean, I meant the people who designed the tunnels.
Oh yeah, no, I would
Yeah.
never have thought of that. But that's a, if I'm ever in charge of designing sewers, I'll make sure to keep that in mind.
Yeah, make sure you put gates or grates or something every so often to keep someone from being able to move about. So in the
Did
Yeah.
they have The Fugitive playing over there?
I know that movie was certainly out at that point, so it'd be funny if it's 2010, so there wasn't like streaming, but it would be really funny to see like that became the most streamed movie, you know?
Oh my goodness, all the data we crave that we can't have.
So in the early evening of July 9th, the manhunt would finally conclude. A local man called police because he believed he saw Moat standing near a local river. The police responded, but so did the media. With the river on one side and many police aiming guns at him on the other, a standoff began. Reporters got as close as they could, taking up any space police did not already occupy.
Insane.
Can you imagine? Fucking stupid.
Those reporters are insane. I wouldn't want to get that close to him.
No, I wouldn't either. Millions were watching from their homes as Moat made his last stand. Negotiations began and went into the night. Food and water were reportedly brought to Moat during the confrontation, and his best friend, Tony Laidler, was escorted to the scene by authorities in an attempt to persuade him to surrender. Now, one weird thing that happened, former England footballer or soccer player, Paul Gascoigne, arrived at the crime scene, claiming he knew Moat and offered to bring him chicken and lager in an attempt to convince him to surrender. So imagine like a famous sports figure here in the
Yeah,
US.
what the fuck?
Right? Gascoigne
It's
was
really bizarre.
It's fucked up. Like, I can't even. So Gascoigne obviously was denied any access to Moat. And it was later revealed that Gascoigne had been under the influence of drugs and alcohol. And
he was like, no, I can totally help. This guy's going to see me and he's going to be like, bro, this is the best day of my life.
Right. Well, he thought Moat was actually a friend of his.
no kidding.
So he was...
He was fucked up and thought this was his friend. Can you even imagine?
Just batshit crazy.
Well, just imagine coming to the next day and realizing what just happened.
Right? You're like, oh fuck, I went
That's
actually
fucking
did
embarrassing.
that. There are videos of interviews with him after the fact, and it is pretty funny to watch. As he was like, yeah, I was high on coke. Like,
Man, that was some hell of coke.
right? So as the night grew later, police used an experimental wireless taser to try to subdue Moat. The tasers had no effect, and Moat turned the gun on himself and pulled the trigger.
Oh.
So it should be stated that no police officers were injured in this standoff, but some stated that Moat already had the gun aimed at himself, and that's why, like, for whatever reason, that was his mode of keeping them away. And that in using the tasers, which causes your muscles to contract because it's an electrical current, that the police may have inadvertently caused Moat to pull the trigger.
Interesting theory.
Right. Now, Moat was taken to Newcastle General Hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 2:20 a.m. In September of that year, 2010, it was found that Protect Systems, the company that had supplied the tasers, had breached their license by supplying experimental weapons directly to the police. So they weren't officially confirmed to be used, and Home Secretary Theresa May subsequently revoked their license because of that. Like, they're like, you shouldn't have been using this. Why did you give it to them? Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, I mean, that feels like a very, like, side thing, but good for them to address.
Right. It's a little late, but yeah.
Yeah.
Realistically, the way it played out was better in that he didn't kill any more police, despite all the claims he made.
Right, he didn't.
So in September of 2011, an inquest jury returned a verdict of suicide, and soon after, police issued a report clearing the police of wrongdoing in firing.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
In firing the tasers, exactly.
But also, like, what wrongdoing? Like, this man threatened to... I mean, it's like, that's what a cop's gonna do. You kill someone who's threatening cops. That's literally what they do.
Well, you kill anyone who's threatening the lives of anyone. You
exactly.
know? Like, this guy was clearly a threat. He had already killed one person, shot two others. He was a threat, and he was at large for multiple days. I'm surprised it didn't start and end with shooting.
Yeah, me too. Like, as soon as they found him.
But again, the difference between England and the U.S., and that's right. That's evident right there.
It is, indeed.
So a number of arrests were made during and soon after the hunt for Moat. I mean, during the hunt for him and after his death, as part of police attempts to capture anyone who had been involved in his offenses. In total, police arrested 20 people.
Damn, that many people involved?
Well, some of them were just suspects. Some of them were people who may have, like, seen him but not reported him. It was a bunch of, most of them, nothing happened. There were only the two main accomplices. Now, Carl Ness was given 3 concurrent life sentences for the murder of Chris Brown and conspiracy to murder and the attempted murder of PC David Rathband. Kwaram Awan received 2 concurrent life sentences for conspiracy to murder and the attempted murder of PC David Rathband.
Damn, life sentences for attempted murder seems
Right?
like, yeah.
It's appropriate, really, because again,
Yeah, but I
attempted
just wouldn't
murder.
have expected it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll give England credit for that, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
so both men were also sentenced to 7 years for robbery, and Ness was given 5 years for a firearms offense, which obviously he gave the weapon to Moat.
Yeah.
So news organizations were accused of being more concerned with revenue than the harm their headlines might cause.
Yeah.
On
Yeah,
July,
welcome to the U.S.
right? On July 10th, The Guardian reported on the mass media coverage of the manhunt, writing, as one poster on Twitter put it, I see Raoul Moat has got his own TV show, The News.
Mm-hmm.
It's true, though.
Yeah.
So Officer David Rathband, after surviving being shot in the face, spearheaded the Blue Lamp Foundation with his identical twin brother, Darren, while he was recovering from his injuries. This charity assists emergency staff injured in the line of duty. Unfortunately, David would end up having an affair and his wife filed for divorce. Just 18 months after the shooting, David was found dead in his home on February 29th, 2012, after hanging himself.
Oh.
I mean, I can't imagine how hard your life must be being blind after something like that.
Yeah, and then to lose your like support person.
Right, but I mean, he was the idiot for cheating on her. But I can only
Yeah, what?
imagine.
How are you picking up women?
My guess is, well, he probably had a certain degree of local celebrity status.
Yeah, true notoriety.
This may have been a nurse, it may have been someone who was supporting him,
True.
that's not his wife. And I can only imagine how you must feel in that situation.
Yeah.
I'm not justifying what he did, but
No, and like it's still really sad.
yeah, it took me a little bit to figure out like how. You're right, because like initially you're like, how is he meeting somebody? But that's how I think it went down.
But really sad.
So in June of that year, David had been due to carry the Olympic torch as part of the 2012 Summer Olympics. His daughter Mia, who replaced him, chose to run blindfolded in tribute to her father.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Really sad, but awesome of her,
Yeah.
Now, Samantha has kept out of the public since one interview she did in 2012. She has covered her scars from the gunshots with tattoos and has moved on with her life.
Good for her.
Yeah. And that is the case of Raoul Moat. Short one tonight.
Damn, that was wild. A very interesting set of examples of differences between
The U.S. and the
police
UK.
forces
Yeah.
in different countries. Yeah.
I remember when I first heard about that, I really thought, and I set it up very similarly to how I learned about it. I thought it was going to be much more, like, I thought there were going to be a lot more police deaths.
Yeah, also that.
Yeah,
But,
for all the threatening he did, there wasn't much to speak of.
yeah, he went into hiding quickly and for whatever reason lost his steam, I'm going to guess. But he may not have had access to, I don't know how often you have to do steroids to maintain the paranoia. So maybe.
Yeah.
Right. And it's also like a lot of the other serial killers we talk about because he was kind of just went on this rampage rather than like had an MO or like, or I'm not saying what I mean to say.
No,
What
I
am
hear what you're
thinking?
saying. He's more like a spree killer. And
Yes.
not a serial killer. And I think you're
And he
right.
like he didn't get to think it out ahead of time. Like he's not really smart about it.
I hear you. He got angry and he's acting in the moment, but he can't maintain that energy, that anger.
Yeah, and he couldn't follow through.
Yeah, and not
Especially
that
when he like went ahead and notified everyone of what he was doing.
right. I don't know what he thought he was going to get out of that. Like calling
Notoriety.
the
I mean,
police.
that's what so many of them want, right?
Yeah, that's true. And you can go on. These videos are available on YouTube. You can hear his entire conversation with police, and it's ridiculous what he's saying and believing. When even the dispatcher's like, "What are you talking about?" So, but yeah, it was definitely an interesting case. I had to do it because I know Jameson loves to shit on the police, and I was like, "Here we go, we're doing this."
Perfect
Yeah.
case for us.
Yeah, that was one hell of a police case.
Yeah, I was. There's a part of me when I first heard it that I was hoping it would be a bit more about police injustice, because unfortunately, in this case, other than their ineptitude of keeping him locked up and finding him, they didn't do anything wrong per se to really bring out his anger. It was his own
Right.
fucked up head.
Right. It's like they weren't really targeting him.
No, they were not.
No, but
He
that'd be
was-
so much more crazy if they were.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the cops that were harassing him at the nightclub he was a bouncer at really were bullying him or fucking with
That's
him.
true. That could have been really bad. We don't know that.
Yeah, there's very little details on that at all. So that could have been pretty bad.
Yeah, that's true.
But who knows? All right, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. We'll see you soon. Once again, I am Janus Dead,
Jameson dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
and we'll see you next week.
Bye.